In the top stories, Prime Minister Drew calls for resource mobilization at ZIZ conference. Haiti names new prime minister as country plots return to order, and worldwide executions on the rise. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday newscast. Today is Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. I'm Scotty C. Hendrickson. Nationally, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, in speaking at the United Nations meeting on resource mobilization for small island developing states in Antigua and Barbuda, continued calling for financial assistance to pivot for more resilient nations in the face of climate change. In an address on Tuesday at the ZIZ International Conference, he emphasized the financial burden placed on small island nations attempting to adapt and build resilience to climate change. He said, and I quote, "We cannot fund our way out of climate change. I can say clearly that if 2 hurricanes hit the Caribbean this year and multiple islands are hit, we will suddenly go from talking about adaptation and resilience to recovery, which in itself would be a burden for any country within the Caribbean." End quote. Prime Minister Drew spoke of ongoing challenges and mitigation strategies are necessary to combat the existential threat. Reminding of some effects, he spoke of St. Kitts and Nevis's situation, saying, and I quote, "We used to be a water-abundant country, but now we are water-scarce country. We cannot supply our people with water 24/7 anymore, and this is a result of climate change on multiple fronts. The decrease in rainfall, the increase in temperature, and saltwater intrusion as a result of sea level rises. To deal with that, we have to now employ desalination plants to produce potable water." End quote. Prime Minister Drew reminded of the urgency by saying, and I quote, we are seeing a more active season this year with stronger hurricanes. So while we are discussing and going around the urgency in the release of funding through whatever mechanisms, the urgency of now is critically important so that we can deal with the scourge of climate change. Funding has to be accelerated for ZIZ to be able to adapt, to be resilient. End quote. Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Hazza Al-Kaibi, presented credentials to Governor General Dame Marcella Liebert, GCMG-JP, on Tuesday as means of continuing relations with the Federation. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis has enjoyed fruitful diplomatic relations with the United Arab Emirates since June 2010. This relationship further reinforces by the UAE's growing role in global political dynamics, leading on issues like climate change and cutting-edge technology. Over the years, relations have been characterized by technical cooperation in areas of capacity building, education, diplomacy, environment, health, security, and information technology. The relationship between the government of the United Arab Emirates and the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has been described as an exceptional one. The Federation appreciates the work done by the outgoing ambassador and looks forward to working with the new ambassador, His Excellency Al-Kaibi, as both countries continue to strengthen diplomatic ties. The planned quarantine unit at the Department of Agriculture has been closely monitoring the recent outbreak of a disease affecting mango trees on the island. According to a press release, the planned quarantine unit states, and I quote, "We understand the significant impact this issue has on local agriculture, and we are making every effort to identify the cause and develop an effective treatment plan. Our team of plant health experts has been working diligently to diagnose the disease affecting the mango trees." End quote. The initial assessments indicate that the symptoms are consistent with anthracnose, a fungal disease that can severely impact mango fruit production and quality. However, the exact cause of the disease is currently unknown, and experts are actively investigating its origin, transmission, and potential control measures. Initial assessments suggest that the disease may be caused by a combination of environmental factors, pathogens, and possibly new strains of pests. Farmers are urged to remain vigilant and report any suspected cases of the disease to their local agricultural authorities for further investigation. Upon confirming the disease, the plant quarantine unit will implement a comprehensive treatment plan to address the outbreak. This plan will involve a multi-pronged approach, including 1. Conducting extensive surveys to determine the extent of the disease's spread, implementing targeted fungicide applications to control the fungal pathogen, providing guidance and support to local mango growers on best mango management practices, exploring long-term solutions such as the introduction of disease-resistant mango varieties, and in the meantime, several precautionary measures can be taken to mitigate the spread of the disease, including quarantining the infected areas to prevent the spread of the disease to uninfected areas. Prune the trees to remove diseases, twigs, and branches, and open up the canopy for better air circulation and light penetration. Implement strict sanitation practices to reduce the transmission of pathogens through contaminated tools, equipment, and plant materials. Regularly monitor mango trees for signs and symptoms of the disease and take appropriate action if detected. Investigate, research, and develop efforts to better understand the disease and develop effective control strategies. For further information, persons are asked to contact the plant quarantine unit at the Department of Agriculture at 467-1826 or 467-1825, or email plantquarantine@gov.kn. In regional news, UN Development Specialist Gary Conille was named Haiti's new prime minister on Tuesday evening, nearly a month after a coalition within a fractured transitional council sought to choose someone else for the position. More in this Africa News report.
A veteran of development work was named Haiti's new prime minister Tuesday as the Caribbean country looks to return to some form of political stability and security. Gary Conille was voted by members of the Transitional Council. His immediate assignment will be putting an end to gang violence, which has made vast parts of the capital Port-au-Prince unsafe. Conille replaces Patrick Boisvert, who was named interim prime minister after Ariel Henry resigned via letter in late April. Before this appointment, Conille had been UNICEF's regional director for Latin America and the Caribbean. This is his second stint as prime minister. He was appointed to the same role in October 2011 by then President Michel Martelly before resigning less than a year later. Gang violence is still surging in parts of Haiti's capital and beyond. Authorities hope a delayed deployment of a police force from Kenya and other countries can help restore security.
In international news, executions around the world rose to their highest number in nearly a decade in 2023, with a sharp rise in the Middle East, Amnesty International said on Wednesday. The 1,153 known executions took place last year when they were most recorded by the Global Rights Monitor since 2015, and a more than 30% increase in 2020. Here is more in this France 24 report.
With the highest numbers in almost a decade, Amnesty International reported 1,153 executions worldwide in 2023, 31% higher than 2022. Iran alone accounted for 74% of recorded executions, followed by Saudi Arabia with 15%. But according to the NGO, some of the data had been kept secret. China's numbers could not be verified, but could be in the thousands, according to various unofficial sources.
We do not know what is the true picture of the use of the death penalty in China. There is a veil of secrecy that surrounds figures. The figures to date are still classified as a state secret. We have seen in the past claims from the authority of a reduction in the number of executions, but it's something that we could not prove nor independently verify.
The number of countries recording executions was 16 in total, fewer than 2022. Most were in the Middle East, while the United States was the only Western country to feature.
We saw Florida carry out its first execution. We saw Alabama pursue a new method of executions to facilitate the use of the death penalty in greater numbers. And we see Texas still accounting for the great majority of the executions carried out last year.
Globally, there were also more people sentenced to death last year, 2,428 in total. In sub-Saharan Africa, Somalia was the only country known to have carried out executions, while 14 countries recorded death sentences and 4 countries took legislative steps towards its abolishment. At the end of 2023, more than 27,000 people were condemned to death worldwide.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Temperature is 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a light breeze of 7 miles per hour from the northeast. Seas are 1 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. Weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis predicts a generally settled atmosphere as a result of the Atlantic high pressure system coupled with relatively low moisture. Today will be partly cloudy with a 30% or a low chance of passing showers. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of brief showers. Sunset today will be at 6:41 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:36 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Scotty Tia Hendrickson.